Welcome back for another episode of Great American Underdog, where we share stories of strength and success from individuals who have overcame the odds in their own lives. Today, I'm very excited to have a special guest with me. He is a former amateur boxing champion, Adidas National PAL, California State champ, a professional boxer. He is also a certified USA boxing coach, certified NASM personal trainer, and Perform Better functional trainer certified. And he is well known in the boxing worldly community for his social media channel, Boxing Undefeated, where he breaks down boxing, builds up fighters by teaching them boxing strategies, mindset, and reminds them to always keep swinging, champ. It's my honor to welcome Alex Enriquez. Welcome, Alex. How are you, my man?
Yo, what is up, Ron? Thank you for having me. Much appreciated with the intro. And thank you for shouting out my mantra, keep swinging, champ.
Oh yeah, that's the name of the game is to keep swinging, and it's so correlating to the show that I have in Great American Underdog because, we get knocked down in life and it's all about getting back up, finding that strength, finding that courage. And you are somebody that since, we started following each other on Instagram and building a relationship that I'm just very inspired by you, by the way that you inspire others and lift them up through the motto of keep swinging, champ, because really that's what we got to do in life is just keep swinging, right?
Yeah, and that's what I like to say is I like to finish that sentence. You get knocked down, you get back up, but they forget to finish the last part. What do you gotta do when you get back up? You gotta keep
Yeah, keep
swinging.
swinging.
So
Yeah, man. Amen to that. So, I'm excited to chop it up with you, learn a little bit more about you, learn about the challenges that you've overcame in your own life, whether in life or in boxing or both, really, because to me, at least, they're synonymous. They go very much hand in hand, as I know that you feel the same way. So I'm very excited to get into that. So as we get started, the first thing I'd like to know, and I lead off every show like this, is tell me your favorite underdog story, whether it's fiction or nonfiction. What's your favorite?
my greatest, my favorite underdog story. Might sound a little cheesy. I was actually looking it up. I was like, what is my favorite? But then it hit me as soon as we started like to get on this call. My greatest story is my mom. My mom. And
Wow.
the underdog story of my mom is what is everything that gives me the power to do what I do. Um from where she came from, I just don't see how I can lose because she didn't. So that's a whole 'nother story, but to chop it up real quick, she came from Mexico with her mom,
Yeah, let's
didn't
hear
know
it.
anything, didn't do anything, all of a sudden built their lives up, and I always think about her when I'm getting down.
That's incredible, man. So she moved from Mexico to the United States. Were you born yet, or were you born in US?
I was born in the US.
Okay, cool. And tell me about some of like those early childhood memories of mom. What kind of things and what kind of challenges did you guys have to go through early on? I'm sure that there was a lot, of course, and she did everything she can to provide clearly a great life for you.
Oh, yeah, single mom, 4 kids with a baby. I was the 2nd of the oldest, so I had my sister, then it was me, then it was my little sister, then it was, the baby. So, by herself, she rose up out the trenches and she made a life for us that I don't think any of us will ever forget.
Yeah, that's incredible, man. And I love that you picked your mom and you view it that way. That inspires you every day. In my own family, my mom and my father very much inspire me to do great things and achieve greatness because of the sacrifices they made early on in their lives when I was a kid as well. So I feel very much the same. Talk to me, Alex. What were some of the earliest challenges that you had to overcome that you can remember? Growing up. What was like, those first initial challenges where you had to build some strength and courage to overcome them?
The first one was getting into fights when I was younger, and then, another challenge was academically being eligible for sports.
Mm.
So, I was always good enough athletically, but I was never good enough in the classroom to stay on the team, and my coaches would tell me, "Keep your grades up, and you got the spot." So, that was always a challenge for me. I was kind of like a little bit of a knucklehead. Not to say I wasn't smart, I know I was. I just
Yeah.
didn't apply it in the energy in the right spot.
That's exactly what I was gonna ask you because, again, I've noticed you and I have a lot of parallels already, but, early on for me, I wasn't into school. I kind of, just, backburned it and didn't fully apply myself. So it sounds like you did the same, where it has nothing to do with the level of intelligence. It really has to do with the level of interest. So, you had to kind of, it sounds like, force yourself to do school in order to, make the teams that you wanted to join. What sports did you play as a kid?
I played, basketball, baseball, I loved to skate, and I did track and field. I actually had no boxing in my life at the time. The only fighting I did was against other kids that just didn't like me, or maybe I didn't like them. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Where did you grow up, Alex?
I grew up in Southern California,
Wow.
Northeast Los Angeles. So, Nella, as we like to call it, the heart and soul.
Sure, sure. So what do you think drove those early initial fights? Was it that, people were picking on you or just, talking shit?
Oh,
Was it
yeah.
something specific that you had to feel like you had to defend yourself?
Oh, yeah. Honestly, all of the above. I mean, I'm only 5'6", so I'm not that
Okay.
big of a guy.
Right.
Um, and I was just kind of like an easy target. Also, where we were at, in the area that we were in, it was kind of like a what is it? Like a central hub for like everyone to go to. Like outside of it, everyone had like their how do I say this?
They're
We were like the
groups?
neutral zone. We were like a
Okay.
neutral zone, so a lot of people from other places would come and pass through what we call Eagle Rock,
Okay.
and I don't know, just I had a lot of different energies there. It wasn't just us. So we had
Yeah.
kids challenging from, like, Glassell Park, Highland Park,
So they'd
Cypress
come to this
Park.
neutral area and be like, "Hey, I'm from here. You can't mess with me," kind of thing. Who's the tough guy around here? And kind of just like, or pick on the little guy, right? And I experienced that at a young age too, because I was always so skinny, Alex. I was 100 pounds in 10th grade. In 10th grade, I was
That'll
100
do
pounds.
it.
So you can imagine, playing sports and football, get run over. I was an easy target. So I totally, I totally get that.
Yeah, easy target. I mean, small. I mean, even since before high school, like even in elementary, just like getting into fights, helping my cousin out in their fights. Just picking up the slack. Like, oh, I gotta jump in, so gotta do what you gotta do.
Do you think fighting at an early age uh, benefited you in terms of building confidence and courage in yourself?
Nah, I wouldn't say so. I didn't feel anything. I didn't feel anything correlating with fighting and confidence at the beginning because I was doing it out of I'm not a fighter. I like to say I'm a lover, not a fighter. But
You
through fighting, I had to learn to love to fight too. So, you know,
right. Yeah.
uh,
So it was really more survival,
yeah.
at the time.
Oh
I
yeah.
gotcha. Okay. And then now, you had fights growing up. You graduated high school out there as well.
Yeah.
Okay. When did you officially get into boxing? And talk to me about, like, how did that transition happen from, a rough and tough street kid that had to defend himself on the streets to making it into a boxing gym? How did you end up going to boxing?
I like to think I was a rough and tough street kid, but I was really like a passive kid. Like if you told me I had to fight, I would fight, but I would never go looking for it. But the way this one happened, or the way I got into boxing was, I remember I was kicking with my homie, and there was some guy that was just running his jaw, and they told me what his name was. They told me where he was at, and I was kicking it at the park right after school. I saw him. I ran up on it. No questions asked. I was like, "You talking?" I just ran up on him, started throwing,
Are
and
you trying to fight?
yeah, I was like, "It is what it is. You're talking, so I know you want it. So let's go." Um, Took it to the back of the park. I know I'm not good at explaining exactly where we're at, but we're in a park.
That's okay.
There was a pool and in the park for kids to swim, and behind that was just like open land where like you couldn't really see the kids doing what they do, right? Smoking, drinking,
Yeah, it was a good
partying.
little hangout spot. So if you had to get into a fist fight and you didn't want anybody to get involved and bother you, go back there and you guys can duke it out.
Exactly. And so we started on the playground. on the basketball courts, and then, security came and they're like, "Yo, get out of here." So we took it to the back. And right then and there, I kind of lost my momentum. And we started swinging again, and he just came with a hook I never saw coming, and it didn't hit me here. It just clipped my nose, and like a water faucet on a hot summer day in the middle of June, it opened up
Oh,
and just blood just wow, just came out like
oh yeah.
nonstop. So it was just that moment. I remember that moment, and I had to take 2 weeks off from school because I had, like, the raccoon eyes, my nose was broken. I didn't want
Right.
anybody to see me, I was embarrassed. Um, but when I got back to school, I went to my 7th period, it was workshop, and some guy outside of that class, we're waiting for the bell to ring to officially go in, and he just looked at me and he said, "Yo, did that make you or did that break you?" And I had to answer that question, and with a split second, I just said, "It made me." And that was it. So I said, "I'm never gonna lose a fight again. Imma go learn how to fight. I'm gonna whip this boy's ass when I see him again on site, green light," you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I heard my cousin was doing this boxing, at this gym up the street. I went, I started doing it, and, I wasn't good at it, but through repetition, long story, me, my cousins, 3 of my cousins, so 4 of us, we all went
Yeah.
in there to the boxing gym. One of them
Okay,
started
cool. So
before
you
all of
guys
us.
went in at least with a group.
Yeah, one of them started before us, but there was 4 of us total when we all decided to do it.
Right.
And so from there, I was the weakest link. Like, I
Mm.
was not good.
Mm.
It didn't ma like, my cousin had good movement. My other cousin had long arms, and he just hit with those 1-2s, and then my other
Right.
cousin was just, like, big. He's just the biggest guy, so, like, he would just rock.
Yeah, so you can just bully people a little bit.
Yeah, and I'm over here,
Uh-huh.
like, with, like, no real attributes besides athleticism. Like, I can move, I'm picking it up, but I'm
Yeah.
not great at it yet. And,
Yeah, so you had the natural ability, but you didn't have what I call, and you understand this, the muscle memory yet. You weren't practiced at it.
yeah,
So
yeah,
so it sounds like to me, you get into this street fight, you get, the raccoon eyes, the broken nose, somebody asked you if it made you or broke you, right? And you were like, well, it made me. In that split second decision, your subconscious said, it made me.
yeah,
Because I think what it sounds like is it made you feel like I never want to be in that position again. I never want to be like I lost a fight and got hurt like this. So you really went into it not necessarily to say, listen, I'm going to go fight and compete. I just want to know how to be able to defend myself, go back up to this kid and get some redemption. So after you spoke with your cousins and you guys all decided, all right, let's hit this boxing gym, and the one cousin that had already been doing it for a bit, did you end up going back and reconfronting this kid?
never. No, af
Interesting.
yeah, after I went to the boxing gym, my coaches, just started putting me into spar, and they were guiding me. They were telling me.
Yeah, they didn't want you getting into the street fight anymore.
Exactly, exactly, and that
Right.
was that was the whole thing, is that they made it clear that they weren't gonna teach me how to fight if I was gonna go back
You're
out
gonna
there.
Right, and I think also, like, would you agree that you had a level of like a change of heart a little bit? Like, you know what? After being in the gym, being with the coaches, it's kind of not worth it to go back. Like, I don't have anything to prove to this person anymore, and I've grown through
I
this
mean,
experience.
yeah,
Or were you still like, I want to go knock his ass out a
I
little bit?
yeah, no, to this day, if I ever see him, I don't know what it's gonna be like, because I never
Oh,
seen
okay.
him after that. But
Wow, that's crazy.
yeah, I never seen him after, and he's known to be a fighter. Like,
Sure.
he talks a lot. He's fought some of my homies. Where I grew up, I mean, there was just a lot of fighting, I guess.
Right. Right.
But another reason why I didn't go back to that fight was because after he broke cli well, so we tussled on the basketball courts. We took it to the back. When we took it to the back, he had actually separated from that transition. So I went to the back with my friends, and we were chilling like, "All right, fuck it. Like, the fight's over, I guess. Blah, 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 blah. We're drinking, we're smoking." He pulls up with about 20 of his homies, and they got bats. And
Oh,
I got my friends, and we're just kicking it. And luckily, they're down to ride with me. So I had my homie, Mike. He came down, And he's like, "Nah, nah, 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 nah." He's like, "This is not how it's going down. They're gonna handle it one on one." And then through that, I broke my nose. So there was a lot of subconscious stuff going on that, like, as I went to boxing to, like, learn how to fight, I also knew I didn't really want to be put in a position where I was gonna get jumped. Like, if I didn't have my friends there,
Of
I would've got
course.
jumped.
Yeah, yeah. I totally get that. Or just, there's a feeling of insecurity when you don't know how to defend yourself. And there is a abundant feeling of confidence and security when you know you've sparred, you've been in the gym, and you know that if something happens, number one, they don't know that you know what you know, right? Like being that we're usually the people that are unassuming, you look at us and be like, yeah, they don't the boxing, they would never even think about it, right? Like, for example, when you said, I'm a lover, not a fighter. I tell people that all the time, right? And the people that have sparred me, they're like, yeah, well, you got like that light switch. Like once I,
Yeah.
make contact with you, and then all of a sudden the light switch turns on, you become a different person and you turn it on, right? But ultimately, the feeling that you got, the confidence came from boxing and really the sparring element. I'm very curious. What was your first sparring session like? And tell me a little bit about that, and what do you remember of it?
Yeah, my first sparring session again was against my cousin with the long arms. Super annoying to fight because he would just pop you from distance and be like, "Oh, guy," you know? And he had a mean right hand. So come over the top, over my guard, bop, and he'd always hit me. And then my second cousin would just like bob and weave so good. I just be missing the whole time. So those were some of my first experiences where when I was boxing, I just was whiffing air the whole time and I could
Yeah.
move my feet, but I was getting
Yeah.
touched up like crazy, you know?
So what would you say the biggest lesson for you was, that you learned from sparring initially? What did you learn, from those first couple of times early on in the gym?
The things I learned from that was, you have to be consistent. You have to continue on the grind. You have to even if you're, not as talented, if you keep working hard, it's really gonna pay off, and, uh, that's what kinda got me over the hump was we would do Sundays with my coaches for 4 hours, 4 to, like, 6 hours, um, and we would all go as a group, and then just as the Sundays kept coming, they kinda fell off. I kept being consistent.
Yeah, probably.
After after 2 Sundays that they missed because they just wanted to hang out, they didn't wanna go, they're like, "4 hours is, like, too much of my day." You know, we're young, we're 17, 18 years
Yeah.
old. They're a little younger than me too. After 2 sessions like that where I stayed in the gym and they didn't, the Sunday after that, they came back, we sparred, I put them all down.
Yep.
I put them all
Yep.
down, and that was
It's
that.
funny that you mentioned. It's funny that you met it. Well, it happened because you stayed consistent, like you said, and like has now. I believe Mike Tyson said, when talent doesn't work hard, hard work beats talent, and that's just a fact. You were in there staying consistent with training and sparring while they were like, you know what, and I understand in the boxing gym, many people might not understand this, but sometimes you go to gyms, people, and everybody goes there to spar, and you're standing around waiting to get in the one ring, right? So you could be in the gym for 4 hours and get only 3 rounds in,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
sitting there waiting to get in the ring to spar somebody. And by the time you do, you're cold, you're not warmed up anymore. So some people will dodge sparring because they just are like, well, I'm not going to get, the optimal amount of reps or rounds in. But you didn't care. You were like, I'll stay there 6 hours. I'll stay there 8 hours. I want to get better. And you clearly had some level of determination from the sparring element, getting your ass beat a little bit. The number one thing that I learned from my first sparring session is body shots suck. Because I got dropped with a body shot the very first time I ever sparred, and I just remember feeling that, loss of air and just going down, bro.
Was
Like,
it
I
was it
just
solar
dropped.
plex or was it liver?
Oh, I got hit in solar plex. I totally got the wind knocked out of me.
Ooh.
And he had been training for some time. He had already competed, but started pressing him a little bit. I was like, let me see where I'm at. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you learn so much from that, and then that either, like you said, makes you or breaks you. And
Yeah.
for both of us, we just kept going. For me, short like about a year and a half after that is when I decided to compete. But for you, how long was it in the gym of sparring and the consistency of going before you decided, you know what? I want to compete. And how old?
So I was like, now I was for sure like 18.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I got a little bit late, I got into the gym like 17, 18, so I was a little bit
Yeah.
late, but yeah, exactly. Same storyline. But my coaches saw me in there every day after the specific training with them, they would see me stay after, and so I did it, till this time, I still didn't have thoughts of, like, competing, but they're like, "You're here every day, and you're here after class." They're like, "Do you wanna compete?" And I was like, "Alright, let's do it." And,
Yeah.
that was that. So I sparred at I mean, I competed at some point at when I was 18, and, um yeah, I remember my first sparring match was against some guy who, had, like, 3 wins, 3 losses, somewhere like there trying to build his amateur, and I'm 0 and 0, and,
Yeah.
my
My
coach just said,
dogs.
"Go retire him. Go show him why he should be retired. Go retire him." And I said, "Alright." And, funny story, I actually started out before boxing with those coaches, I did Muay Thai. I did Muay Thai and kickboxing.
Oh, right on.
So, my biggest fear in that first amateur bout was, like, I told my coach, I was like, "Yo, I think I'm gonna kick him because like, I know how to kick."
Yeah, muscle
Hey.
memory. You're gonna like. He's gonna put that leg out in front. I'm gonna hit him with a side kick.
Oh, yeah, I was like, I don't like, I'm so scared that I'm gonna kick this dude right now."
Uh
And
huh.
no kicks, luckily, but a lot of footwork, so,
Yeah.
yeah.
Were you let me ask you because, I tell people this all the time. I call it calm in a state of chaos, right? So I lost Diamond Glove semifinals in 2015 with 10 seconds left. I got dropped with a body shot, and I really attribute that loss. I got back up, and then the ref saw me get up, and I kind of stumbled, and he
Yeah.
said, "Nah, you didn't even let me finish the fight. The fight had 10 seconds left. You didn't
That's
even
a
let me
Julio
finish. You
Cesar
just."
Chavez Meldrick Taylor moment.
Yeah, 100%, man. You can watch that fight on YouTube, actually. I still talk to the guy I fought. Wish him the best, of course, always. There's that camaraderie that we had in boxing, right? But you know, I lost that fight more than sometimes I feel he won it because I went in there so nervous, so tense. And I had already competed and won Golden Gloves 3 years before, but I was in front of a lot of people. And that nervousness, those butterflies, people think that, even though you do it a lot, that doesn't go away. And that it's what you do about it inside of the ring and being able to stay calm in that state of chaos. I was not calm and I drained all my energy just by being tense and locked up. And every time I threw, it was tight and not just, flowy. So, did you have any challenges like that when you first started doing amateurs, like where you had to get over the nerves of competing or anything like that? What was the biggest challenges for you early on with competing as an amateur boxer?
Yeah, it was definitely all that what you just said, which was the nerves and like the adrenaline rush and the tenseness and trying to find a balance with staying comfortable and relaxed, but still being a killer at the same time, which is like just like
Yeah.
a dichotomy, like a complete contrast of like, how do you do those things? And,
Uh-huh.
it just comes through training, but the moment never ceases to grasp, like, those feelings as it keeps heightening and heightening, and I felt like all through amateurs, it just kept getting bigger and bigger, so it never really got easier for me, and I think to this day, I identify with Mike Tyson a lot, and that's why I love him so much when he talks about how, he was always scared. He was always
Yeah.
scared before every fight. And,
Mhm.
he let it out emotionally, and I completely align with everything that he says and feels because I had every emotion before I would
Right.
fight. I would wanna run, I wanna cry, I don't wanna laugh, I wanna call
Yeah.
my mom and be like, "I'm getting on a bus and I'm leaving and you guys will never see me again because anything is
Yeah.
better
I'm
than
not
this."
fighting.
Yeah, I'm not fighting.
Yeah.
But you're there though. You gotta be where your 2 feet are at, and then all of a sudden you're just walking to the ring. You're like, "Oh my god, I'm about to do it. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god," and then you're in and you do it, bell rings, everything's gone.
Yeah, it all goes away, right? It all goes away. And it's funny because that comes from practice, right? With the sparring, because so many times, and I'm sure you've had this happen to you where you have your boys who don't box and they're like, yo, I want to spar you. And they could be bigger. It doesn't matter.
Oh,
And you're like, okay. And then you get in the ring, you pop them, and what happens? They get so aggressive. The ego turns on, right? And they start coming after you like a maniac. And you can just pick them apart at that point. And what they don't get is if you can stay calm and you could pick your punches and breathe and all those things. But that takes time. And like I said, I call it just, muscle memory. And I'm also a huge, huge fan of Tyson. I got to meet him actually one time, which was incredible. I'll tell you about
Let's
that
go.
offline. But yeah, yeah. So, what do you think for people that might be wanting to get into boxing or are just facing obstacles in their own life where they have to develop courage? What are some of the things you told yourself, Alex, to build up that courage to not run away, not get on the bus, and to still get in the ring
Mm,
and fight for what you wanted, right?
yeah. I think this is where it gets important to understand why you fight, and that reason has to be bigger than you. Um, when I was fighting, and I think we all feel like no matter what we're grown up in, whether it's the high class, the low class, the middle class, our perception of our being in this world is what we make it. And, I think a lot of the time as kids, if we don't have a mentor or a guide or that parent that can help us, we all feel like we're an underdog and we struggle. So, what helped ground me in overcoming those was thinking back to my why. And my why was I love my family and I love, them so much that I wanted to give them a better life because my mom was a single mom. I had brothers and sisters, and relating back to all that, my I can't remember who, but someone had like jokingly said it when I was really young. They're like, "Oh, you're the man of the house now," and
Hmm.
that stuck with me when I was so young that I was trying to figure out how to be that man of the house as a kid. And I think that's what ultimately got me into like so much violence and like aggression sports and all this stuff. So I would
You feel like
say
you feel like you had to toughen yourself.
I had to toughen myself. I had to learn on the job how to be this model of a person that I don't even have a model in my life to be. So, you
Right.
know, not to get too deep, but
Okay.
I
That's
I
what we're
was
here
I
for.
was I was thinking that, like, when I was fighting, when I would step into that ring, the thing that got me over the hump at the beginning was I thought I was fighting out of anger. That I was like, "I need to do this. This is what makes me a man, and this is what a man does. And if I shy away from this now, what do I look like to myself, to everybody?" But as I got older, I started to realize that anger is like a spark that has a short fuse and goes away in a quick second. And what has helped me maintain that flame has been my love, not my anger, because that has brought me to where I am today. And I consistently think of my greatest underdog story is my mom. And I got a lot of
Yeah.
love for her. And that flame isn't a flame that's lit under me. It's a flame that's lit inside of me.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
if I talk to people, my job as a coach now through boxing isn't to make you the best fighter. That will come as a side effect, but my job is to make you a better person through your own story. You tell me what you're going through. You tell me what's up. And I'm going to try to be understanding, compassionate, loving. And if you are fucking up, I'm going to let you know too, because there's the reality of your actions too.
It's
So
accountability.
accountability. And that's what I would tell the fighters that are coming up, that are wondering if this is for them, that, check in with yourself. And how do you get over that hump to actually get inside the ring? What are you fighting for? If you're fighting for material, if you're fighting because basketball, baseball, or football didn't go your way and you just want to be an athlete, and you get inside the ring, just know this is it. You get crossed over and they score 2 points. This is, you kept your hand down, you might get knocked out.
You might get knocked out and injured 100%.
So check
It's
yourself,
not.
Maybe
Yeah. It.
sparring is the best avenue for you to pursue this aggression outlet. But
Mhm.
I would never tell anybody that they should not get into their first amateur fight. I think everyone should have an amateur
I
fight.
think everybody should at least forget about even amateurs, like you just said, at least get in a ring. Or if you're not even going to get in a ring, just go to a gym and have somebody hold hand pads for you and just learn what it feels like to throw punches and then have them throw the pad at you, slip, roll, keep your hands up. When you throw your left, are you keeping your right up? All these little things to build that confidence and then say, hey, by the way, we've been doing pads now for like, a month. How do you feel about potentially getting in the ring and get them in there with somebody that's going to help them boost their confidence a little bit that they can be comfortable with and work with? As you know, sometimes, people go in there trying to take each other's heads off and nobody learns anything, but that has its own place and time. But, back to what you said about, your why. Um, I think that if you don't have a strong why, there's nothing you can really do at a high level in life in general. And you just said something that I thought was really profound, which is the fire wasn't under me. I had a fire lit inside of me. And I think that people are always looking, especially nowadays, for outside validation, right? So, like, what's going on social media? I gotta go get somebody else to motivate me because they don't have that internally in themselves. When really, all they gotta do is look inside a little bit and figure out, why do you do what you do every day? In business, Alex, we often say, and I've learned this from Jim Rohn, who's an incredible business motivational speaker from the 70s, 80s, 90s, through now. He's passed on since, but he used to always say, make a difference and the dollars will follow. So you make a difference in people's lives and then the money comes. It's the byproducts, right? You make a difference in your mind, your heart, your confidence and courage inside of learning how to box, and then becoming a great fighter comes as a byproduct of understanding the fundamentals, right? Like it's the same thing. Nobody starts off walking into a boxing ring and just kicking ass. And if they do, and they say that they've never gotten hurt or got their ass kicked, they lie about other things too, right? So
Yeah.
it's such a great point. You gotta know your why, and I love that you do that in the coaching element too. Before we get into that, tell me how you kind of finished. How long did you fight as an amateur? What was that? How long was that amateur career? And then you turned pro, and just talk to me a little bit about that transition, how you went from amateur to pro, and what things did you accomplish as an amateur and pro?
As an amateur, I had a short-lived career because I was already a little bit older, and
Mhm.
my last fight was against my nemesis in the amateurs, well, at
Cool.
least one of them, and we believed we won that fight, and because we also know that there is politics in boxing, like we kinda touched on, um, that we knew that he was kinda getting groomed for the next thing. So, I lost that fight, you know,
But
but
did you?
but did I?
Yeah.
And my coaches were food, shelter, transportation, signing up, registration fees, all that costs money. So, like, amateurs isn't cheap, you know? So you have to make a decision whether you're gonna stay in the amateurs and pursue an Olympic career, which is gonna cost a lot of money as well, or if you're gonna go to the pros and try to start making some money, which you don't make at first or sometimes even ever. Um,
Mhm.
but I had, like, about a year, maybe a year and a half in the amateurs. I won the California state championship, the national Adidas National Pals,
Let's
um,
go.
and that was really great, and then I went for the Worlds in Indio, California, and I lost in that one outright. I got clipped by a hooker. They say never hook with a hooker. I felt like hooking that night, and I got caught,
Yeah.
and,
Uh-huh.
that was that. But then I had that last fight with, my guy. I still remember his name. If you ever watch this, Sergio Quiros. If you're out there and you ever watch this, like, I know your name, and I'm gonna find you, and I'm gonna fight you again one day respectfully,
Yeah, bro.
respectfully. Yeah, but,
Or at least
then
have a good laugh about it, shit.
yeah, right? So then I turned pro, and I turned pro, in May, and I had a career for, I think, let's see, like, 6 to 8 years. I can't remember because then COVID kinda hit,
Okay.
kinda
Sure.
came up, and I had an injury, and that's ultimately what ruined not ruined, it propelled me and directed me in a different direction. And in the
Sure.
pros, I never got a belt, but I was working my way up. I had 11 wins, 0 losses, uh, 3 draws. Those draws are not losses, they're lessons. Believe me on that. They always made me better.
Well, a
And
loss is always a lesson anyway, whether it's a loss or a draw, it's a freaking lesson.
yeah, 100%.
Mhm.
And I fought on a top rank card.
Wow.
I fought with Bash Boxing, who's connected to Top Rank.
Yeah.
I got to meet some cool people, and yeah, I mean, I don't know if you're gonna put this part in, but I'm just gonna share it with you. Like
Yeah.
I
Yeah, and I
spar
can also leave it out up to you.
yeah, we'll figure that one out. But dude, I sparred Ryan Garcia way back then when we were both amateurs, and I didn't even know who he was gonna be. Yeah, like
I was gonna
little
ask you
nugget.
about that. I know he's from the area,
Yeah, he's from
that you were from.
Victorville.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, who cares? What was that like? It was early on, you know?
So I was going back and forth with the wild card boys, the wild card boxing gym with Freddie
Of
Roach.
course.
Yeah, so, I would go in there for sparring, and we were going back and forth with it. And then, like, there's a couple sessions that, like, I got their guys. And so the next session I was coming, I remember my coaches, they were telling me that, like, I don't know what they're saying, but they said that they brought somebody or someone's coming down and they wanna see you versus him. And I was like, "Oh,
Mhm.
okay, whatever." And,
Yeah.
I walk into the wild card gym, I see some kid laid out, stretching and stuff, and, like, I'm like, "Who's that guy?" Like, taking up the like, wild card's small, like, there's no place to
It's a
stretch.
tiny little tight gym, bro.
It's
Like,
tiny. So I was like, "Who is this dude, like, stretching on the like, getting stretched out and everything?" I gear up, I'm getting I still don't know who this kid is, and then he steps in the ring, it's Ryan Garcia, I still don't know, right? Because he's an amateur, and, we go at
right,
it.
yeah. How old were you at the time?
I was 18.
Like 17, 18? He's
Yeah,
the same
and
age as you, no?
no, 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 he's 25, so he was, like, 14, 15?
So he's a touch younger than you.
Yeah, yeah, like, I
Yeah.
didn't
So
know,
nobody knows who Ryan Garcia is at this point unless you're in the
exactly.
area and pay attention. Like, you don't.
Exactly, yeah, and I'm just getting my career started, or at
Sure.
least, yeah, in the whole boxing, and, I'm like, "Alright, alright." I get up in there, dude's fast.
Yeah.
I keep my distance. I can't really touch him because he's long, right? But it was just an experience that I look back on now, and, I didn't get caught with anything crazy. I didn't get put
Yeah.
down. I didn't catch him with anything crazy. It was kinda like a stalemate almost where we were, like, trying to figure each other out, and the next thing you know, 3 rounds go by and it's over, and we're like,
It's
"Oh,
over. Yep. And
yeah."
it's so funny, dude. You mentioned like, the speed element and the length and also the age. Like, even though he was younger than you, I went last year to a gym local to me and I sparred. I'm 32 years old, and I sparred this kid who's 19, 20 years old, and he a little lighter than me, 20 pounds lighter than me or so, but he was a whip. And he threw his punches so fast that what people don't realize is when you have that level of speed, it's like getting whiplash when you get hit clean, and sometimes can be more dangerous than getting hit with power.
Oh, yeah.
So and you just again, like another great lesson from boxing, you don't assume anything about anyone. You never underestimate
Oh,
what somebody else can do in front of you because you don't know their why and you
oh,
don't know what they're going through in their life and why they're boxing, right? Like, you just don't. And you think about times like Mike Tyson versus Buster Douglas. Mike Tyson said, I don't need to trade for Buster Douglas. He's a bunk. Buster Douglas loses his mom, goes into the ring, gets knocked down by Tyson, gets
wow.
back up, and then ends up beating his ass because his why was bigger than Tyson's at the time. So it's such a great lesson, man. Just knowing your why. Never underestimate anybody,
Yeah.
and you don't know what somebody else's why is either.
That was a beautiful tie-in, dude. That was really cool.
It's like kind of what I do, man.
Yeah.
So, talk to me now that I love that you've had the career that you had. Congrats to you, man.
Thank you.
I'm listening to you and I'm super impressed that you've built what you've built. And I'm so excited to get into boxing undefeated. But first, what made you decide to be a coach? Was it because of the impact boxing had on you? And then you were like, I want to give this back to people, or was it something else?
I'm gonna be 100% honest because I don't like it when people feel like I don't like it when I hear somebody who's successful only go from like when they started being successful. I had no idea what I was gonna do after boxing. I got the eye injury, COVID hit, and
Oh,
that was that. You know, my coaches,
yeah.
they left to a different state. Like my whole structure and foundation was gone. I was like, I don't know what to do now.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
what I love about that, just real quick, is you're authentic. I only like talking to people who are authentic and genuine and actually share their stories because, like you just said, you have a lot of people on social media that just share their success and their life looks like glam and living the life of luxury, and it's usually not. And then, secondly, we all have to go through something, aka an underdog story, in order to get to that. So
oh
you
yeah.
end up having an eye injury, and you're like, "What do I do after boxing?" So continue. I'm sorry.
So, no, you're good. Yeah, yeah. So I did do coaching because that's what I knew how to do. I
Okay.
had a part-time job still, and that was it. I just kept coaching, and I started making some money off of it. I wasn't working with fighters. I was working with people I knew during COVID that didn't have a gym because everything was shut down. I ran a couple small time businesses like Champ Camp. That was one of my first. It was made for champions that wanted to
Yeah.
go through a boxing camp, and
Cool.
it it failed, because I didn't know what I was doing. I had people, but I didn't know how to sustain it. I didn't know how to grow it, and that was that. Once kinda lockdown kinda started unraveling and we started seeing gyms open up, everyone kinda going back to the normal, again, I was
Sure.
lost again. So, um
So but then you get certified as a USA boxing coach, which it sounds like you already had done that prior to Jam Camp. Is that
oh,
true?
yeah, I was USA boxing coach since I was a pro back at my gym competing.
Okay,
'Cause
cool. Did you
yeah, I had
did
to
you
take
ever
my
bring Okay,
I had to take my amateur te or not my amateur team, but the amateur team in my stable. When my coaches couldn't go, I would take them. So,
cool. So
yeah.
you cornered fighters as a USA boxing coach. That's great. 'Cause some people get their coaching license and never actually get up there, right? Like, believe it or not. So what was that experience like? Like, what was it like being on the outside of the ring helping a fighter, in comparison to being in the ring from the audience?
I recommend any fighter to go get their coaching license because you see it from, like you said, from the outside.
Mhm.
So you have to expand your mind, and it was pretty cool because I had to give real notes. I had to I had to adjust in real time for someone else and take into account their fighting style, not just mine, and mix and match and plug and play with what the other fighter's doing and what my fighter's trying to do. And it's very strategic. I feel like that's when I started to get into my mind a lot more about like how to strategize boxing.
So, is this what I guess continued you down the path of getting NASM certified and perform functionality training certified and all that because you
No.
you enjoyed being a coach?
No, that was different. That was because after I was done with boxing, I had a bunch of injuries, and
Yeah,
I had knee injuries, back injury, and I said I had to learn how to heal myself. So I went to a strength and conditioning gym to go work, but I had to get certified. So I got certified,
I got you.
and through that, I learned to heal myself, and I just added on to my coaching and what I can do. So I could
Yeah.
box, I can functional train because I've done it to myself, and now I could teach it to others.
And do you actively train and coach people, whether boxing or just personal training as well? Is that what you currently do for a living outside of we'll get into boxing undefeated in a second here?
Yeah, yeah, I coach people. I got a small gym right here, not mine,
That's great.
gym I work at, but,
Cool.
we got great people, age ranges from, 15 to the oldest I've had is, like, 70,
Love
and
it.
yeah, and they're my diehards, so, yeah, I still coach boxing and a little functional training in between that, some mobility, all of it, bro. I mesh it all together.
Yeah, man. Well, listen, the universe, it sounds like, brought you to this moment of, hey, the injuries can happen and people don't realize the sacrifices that boxers make, to train for fights, to actually fight, all of it, man. And, I give you so much credit, that how I feel about it and somebody who's walked into that ring and competed as well. So super kudos to you to take the injuries and say, well, what am I going to do now and keep pushing forward, stay with boxing, and then also give back to the people in a way that helps them live a better life, right? That's the same reason why I decided to start coaching as well when I did. When did it happen for you, Alex, that you said, I'm going to start a social media channel for boxing? What drove the beginning of Boxing Undefeated? Because that's how we met.
Yeah.
And I was super impressed with your page when I first saw it. But tell me about the origination.
Yo, shout out to my guy, Devin from SERP. He's the one who during COVID hit me up and said, "Hey man, like you know your stuff. You should keep going." And from that moment, we I opened up the social media and I didn't know what I was doing, but it was weird because he'd given me a sense of belief in myself that I didn't really know. He gave me he believed in me, and I didn't know I needed someone to just tell me like, "Yo, I believe in you." I just didn't know I needed that, and, it didn't make everything go away, and I knew exactly what I was gonna do, but just hearing someone who I wasn't super close to hit me up and just be like, "Bro, what are you doing? Like, you're awesome at what you do, and I've been around you enough to know that if you choose to just continue boxing in a different capacity, that you're gonna
Right.
be amazing." And that
Well,
was that.
we,
I opened
well,
up the
you're
social media.
married
Yeah.
as somebody who also quote unquote doesn't know you, and we've started to develop a relationship together, right? But at first, the very first takeaways I got from you is he knows what he's talking about. You're very well spoken.
Thank
You know how to break things down. You're good at making content. And to your second point about like you just needed somebody to believe in you and tell you, yeah, keep going. You never, and I tell this to people on the business side as well, you never know how your content is landing in the eyes, ears, and mind of your audience. And sometimes there's a lot of times there are people that don't actually interact with your content, but pay attention. So for example, like, that I post my runs a lot because, I have a goal right now of running 1,000 miles this year. And it's very complimentary, of course, to boxing. They go hand in hand. So I post my runs to kind of keep myself accountable, but also in hopes that it does inspire people, right? And sometimes I'd be like, shit, why am I doing this? People don't interact with the post. Maybe they just think I'm arrogant and posting how fast I am, which isn't the case at all. You know, and I go over my fiance's friend's house, and their roommate's there. Comes down the stairs and says, "Hey, I just want to let you know, I started running because of your posts and I never ran a day in my life." He goes, "But now I've been at it for about 3 months and I feel better than I ever have. So I just wanted to say thank you." In a million years, I would have never realized that I had that impact on that guy. Like you just don't know. And sometimes we just have to be told like, "Hey, like keep going." And it's okay if it's bad at first, but just keep going. So you had the wherewithal to say, "Hey, somebody does believe in me. I can do this." And then to just keep pushing it. So, how have you, Alex, grown the brand on social media? What is Boxing Undefeated like really, really mean for you ultimately at this point?
Yeah, boxing undefeated for me at this point is just what the quote says right under it, breaking down boxing, building up fighters, and inspiring the next champion within us, to just come out and flourish through someone believing in them, whether they didn't know. Like I just say like I believe in you. Like I get people DMing me and stuff, and I've had someone I Unc Clay, if he ever sees this, he's older. He's like 30, and he asked me, he was like, like, "I wanna go amateurs and I wanna go pro," and, um, he said, "What do you think with everything that's going on in his life?" And I had to think about it real quick. I was like, "Do I, like, logically tell this dude who's, like, nearing his 30s or in his 30s, like, you have no shot? Or do I just believe in the dude because who knows? What if he is? What if he is? How do I
Rocky
know?
Beat Apollo.
How do I know? I don't know. I have no
Right.
idea. So I said, "I
Right.
believe in you. You want that? Go get it." And so that's one of my missions is to just believe in everybody that comes through my social media and build up fighters, build up anybody, build up everybody because there's a bunch of diamonds in the dirt and you don't know which ones are you're gonna I'm gonna
You're
polish
polished
all of you.
ball.
I'm polishing all
Yeah.
of you because I don't know which one's a diamond. I don't know. So I'm gonna polish
Yeah.
all of you.
Yeah. So your goal is to really inspire, more than anything that, they're capable of achieving. Keep swinging, champ. So is that where you coined the phrase keep swinging? And was it you, or did it just come to you one day? Like, it became the catchphrase, bro. How did that come up? I know what it means to you at this point, right? But how did keep swinging, champ become, the phrase?
Yeah, keep swinging champ. I just wrote it one day and I loved what I wrote and
Yeah.
um I just said this is how I feel because I'm doing this social media thing. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm doing coaching. I don't know what I'm doing. I did boxing. I don't know what I'm doing. All I'm doing is taking more and more chances. I don't know what I'm doing. And I relate boxing to all the sports I've played. And one of my favorite quotes is you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So if I don't swing, I'm missing. I got to keep swinging. I got to keep shooting. I got to keep dribbling. Whatever it is, whatever you do, it doesn't got to be swinging. You got to keep shooting. You got to keep running. Whatever it is, you got to keep doing it though.
It's such a genius metaphor for life. And, you actually have mentioned in the past, boxing isn't just a sport to you anymore. You had said to me, offline. What do you mean exactly when you say that boxing is a way of life that transcends the ring?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it goes back to the quote again, which is like, I'm not boxing it. I'm not in the ring anymore. But everything I do, I relate it back to boxing. So, if I'm creating this brand called Boxing Undefeated and I do a content and I post it and only gets 1,000 views and I'm usually getting like 10,000 views, that's like a little L for me. And so I gotta kind of like I think of it like this. I'm like, all right, I jab and it hits, I jab and it hits, I jab and I miss. Okay, it's not the end of the world. I missed a punch. But
Mhm.
I get to analyze, I get to roll. Did they come back? Did my account got shadow banned one time? I had to roll with that punch. I had to come back, you know, and I've had a lot of definitely financial situations where I felt like I'm losing right now. But I think, okay, I'm in the fight though. I'm not down. I'm not out. I'm just not winning right now. And so I gotta
Yeah.
just keep swinging because just like a fight, outside the ring, if I try this brand, if I try to service where like I'm gonna coach boxers, like if I try one more thing and it hits, my whole life changes with that one swing. So it's not just boxing anymore. Boxing is bigger, but I developed that mindset through boxing because I had to push to my limits, push through my limits. And now I don't know how to live any other way. I don't know how to live any other way. I wish I did.
Well, no, not really, man, because honestly, like, I think that it's kind of divine. Like, I always say, people talk about work-life balance, right? It's not work. Nobody wants work-life balance. What they really want is work-life integration where they are synergized, they complement each other, right? Like everything you do from personal training to boxing undefeated, it's work, but it complements your belief system. It complements your why. It allows you to keep swinging and keep moving forward, and build it, right? Because you also know what it's doing for other people in terms of inspiration to just keep swinging, right? And the Zig Ziglar, another motivational guy that I've listened to over the years that my business partner and mentor has taught me, you don't have to be great to start. You just got to get started,
Mhm.
right? Like just keep going, be willing to be bad, and just be willing to be bad. Too many people, I also think, are so wrapped up in the instant gratification piece, right? Like it takes time. Boxing Undefeated didn't get to 40,000 followers in 2 weeks. No, man, you had to fail and test, like you just said. So it's just like you said, we're all fighters, and it transcends the ring, really. And it's just about keep moving forward. You get knocked down, you get back up, you keep freaking swinging, champ. So I absolutely love it. What's the number one goal at this point, Alex, for Boxing Undefeated? Is to continue inspiring people? Is there anything else collaborative that you might be doing that you want to share or anything like that?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked. So keep swinging is is a line that is meant for everybody, but I have plans to make this a sponsorship for amateur and up and coming pros that will get a percentage of the merch that they sell through my website so they can pay for their drinks, their transportation, their food. It's not going to be a lot, but I know what it is. $50, $100. If that buys me my food, if that gets me
Makes a
a
difference.
little hotel, like that's all I need. And if it just puts money in your pocket to go do the right thing, not the wrong thing, go spend on what you need to spend on. Don't be a
Hmm.
knucklehead.
Hmm.
It's gonna help you. And so I'm
Wow.
looking for fighters that are gonna align with that. And and that's the next goal. I mean, there's I got so many goals, but it's to give back to the fighters. It's to inspire champs inside and outside the ring, and to host pop-ups all across America and eventually outside.
Yeah.
Different areas of the world, different countries.
Well, two things. Number one, I have no doubt because of your commitment, your strong why, and who you are, from what I can gather so far from getting to know you, that you will get there because of like we said before, the difference you're making. You continue to make that difference, that end result will naturally become a byproduct for you. So that's number one. Number two, whatever you need to support that, I'm here to help you always. So even if it's just a question you want to bounce off me, man, I'm brotherhood with you in this together to help any way I can. So where can Alex? Where can people find you? Talk. Just give me your Instagram handles and social media so that people can find you before we get into some wrap up questions here.
Yeah, if you wanna follow my personal page, Boxing with Alex. If you wanna follow the brand, Box Undefeated, which stands for Boxing Undefeated, but it's Box Undefeated. We couldn't get the full name. And, on Box Undefeated, we have the links to the store, for the merch. We don't have the link set up to give back to the fighters yet, but anything you give or anything you get right now obviously helps the channel to do what we do, to do it better, to do it bigger, to do more of it. Um, and that's it. I mean, I'm still building out the website, so that has some time
Cool.
to come. Yeah.
Well, I'm excited to see what you're going to do with that. And as we wrap up here, Alex, I have some just final Great American Underdog questions that hopefully will help the audience as well. And you've been so gracious with your time and being vulnerable and just sharing your story, man. I'm again very grateful to have you here. At this point in your life, if you had a magic cell phone, Alex, and could leave your younger self a voicemail when you were struggling the most, what would you tell yourself?
Man, I would I would say is it's all gonna work out, you know? It's everything's gonna be okay. I even tell myself that now, honestly. So I would tell myself that when I'm younger. I don't know if I'd hear it when I'm younger, but what I know now is like even if the social medias got taken, even if this boxing got taken from me, even if my jobs got taken from me, I already have everything I need. I have my mom, I have my family, my brothers and my sisters, my aunts and my uncles, my grandmas, my grandpas, like, uh, I have everything. I got myself, I love me. I love my family. I love the people I connect with, like you, for example. I love talking to people. I love talking to people. And I wasn't always this person, but I wish I was this person when I was younger because I'd know so much more because I get to know by talking through you. I get to know more about you. I can't be everywhere at once, but getting to
No,
know your experiences gets me to there. It gets me closer. So I would just tell myself, you have everything you need and everything's gonna be okay. And you can't lose in life because you've already won.
amen to that, man. I love that. And for the audience, how do you think individuals out there can build more courage and confidence to go after what they want in life and ultimately overcome odds that might seem insurmountable? What key things would you tell people to develop that courage and confidence?
I'm gonna break it down real easy. Just do the hard thing. Just do the hard thing. Whatever the hard thing is, whatever you feel resistance towards, do that thing. Just do it. You're gonna find out that the fear that you have up here is not real. It's not real.
Well, they say fear is false evidence appearing real, right? That's what it stands for. So I absolutely love that. Alex, I want to thank you again. Is there any last comments or anything you'd like to leave for the audience as we close out here?
Uh, Man, keep rocking with my dude Ron right here, man. The American Underdog. We connected on social media. I can't remember exactly how we got connected, whether it was him that made the first move or whether it was me that made the first move. But meet people, talk to people. You're gonna meet great people like this, and you're just gonna expand yourself. So don't be shy. Be like they say in boxing. Be first. Be first.
Hmm.
Don't
Yeah.
be scared to make the first move and talk to a new homie or talk to the girl or go for the job or whatever it is that you're doing. Follow boxing. Be first. Be first.
Get yourself out to the center of the ring and start jabbing and keep swinging, champ. This has been another phenomenal episode of Great American Underdog. If you found value in this episode, please make sure to like and subscribe and share it with somebody you feel it could be helpful for in terms of being able to help them overcome maybe challenges or odds in their own life. And we'll see you on the next one. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you for having me. Much love, Ron.